Hey, howdy, and welcome all to the Big and Bright Podcast. My name is Nick. This here next to me is James.
Howdy.
Merry New Year, everybody.
Merry New Year.
Very excited to be with you in this new year of 2023.
Yep.
As of recording, it is 2 days past New Year's Day, which we didn't want to record on New Year's Day because New Year's Day is for eating your weight in black-eyed peas and doing absolutely nothing. So that's what we were doing.
Except for you. You were working.
I was working on New Year's Day, right? But not for very long. I was just working in the morning.
Yeah.
That being said, we are really excited to be here with you guys for the new year. We've got some new changes coming up, some new formats to be looking out for. We're really excited to get the news for you coming up in Texas. And unfortunately, while there's a lot of news going on around the world and also in the United States coming into the new year, this is a lot of time. That's the weird thing is the holiday break is generally right after the holiday break is when most podcasters sort of backfill all the news that had happened while they were on break, and
yeah,
really wasn't a ton from a Texas perspective that didn't happen, except for one thing.
What's that?
Texas is going to be represented in the NCAA football championship.
Yes, they are. TCU did a miracle.
Let's go Horned Frogs.
They beat Michigan, and they are in there. And Georgia had a nail biter. Could not believe that dude missed the field goal in the end, but they won. So here we go. Texas has a chance to win the championship. But before that happened, the Texas Bowl did happen. And you know who's in that one?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss was in it, but so was Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Oh, Texas Tech poured out all that hotty toddy and just beat it down to the ground, stomped on it a few more times, and then laughed at it. Beat them 42-25. Wreck 'em Tech. It was awesome to watch. Very late game, but awesome to watch.
No one cares about Lubbock. Let's talk about Fort Worth, baby. Fort Worth, Texas, going to be in the national championship.
It is
to play against the Georgia Bulldogs.
They have no shot, but I want them to win.
You know what? They didn't have a shot against Michigan, and they
actually. I was one of the few of my friends that said they're going to beat them. I don't care what they did to Ohio State. They're going to beat them.
Yeah.
And they all looked at me, especially the beginning. They're going, "Holy crap!" And of course, Michigan made it a game in the end. But I was like, "There's no chance. There's no chance TCU gets beat." Now in the second game, it'll be a little tougher.
Well, it's certainly going to be tougher. I'm gonna call it right now. I think TCU pulls it out.
You think it's gonna be over? I think the over/under is like 65.5 points. You think it's gonna be over or under?
65.5?
Like complete, like
total score? No, it's definitely gonna be over.
Yeah.
With these two teams, it's gonna be over.
Yeah, it was like 51 points in the first game.
I will put. So does TCU? Would I put my money on TCU winning the game? Maybe, but I'll tell you what. I'd certainly put my money on TCU covers. 100%.
Yeah, they will.
100%. 13 points? Are you kidding me, NCAA? This is what drives me absolutely bananas. Now, here's the deal. I am not a Division I fan. I didn't go to a Division I school. My school is the Washita Tigers. Go Tigers, baby, right? Who did beat the Henderson State Reddies this year, which means successful season. That being said,
I'll talk about the game afterwards.
Yeah, we won't talk about our first game in the playoffs, but we beat the Reddies, and that's what matters.
That's true. That's your rival.
So the thing is, one of the joys about this is I can be whatever fan I want to be on any particular day when it comes to the NCAA, right? And Michelle and I, my wife, actually used to do this. We would go to various games and we'd buy the shirt, and we were a fan for a day.
Yeah,
and it was a lot of fun. Right? It's cool to do. That being said, Texas is my team. If it's a Texas team versus a not Texas team, I'm pulling for the Texas team.
What if it's the Longhorns or A&M?
The Longhorns or A&M? I'm probably pulling.
No. If either way.
No, I have a hierarchy within Texas.
Okay.
I have a hierarchy within Texas and teams that I like better than other teams.
Yeah.
Right. If it's Longhorns versus A&M, probably pulling for the Horns. To be honest with you,
man,
probably pulling for the Horns.
Man.
Just because, first of all, and this is another thing that we'll talk about in a second. A&M betrayed us all by going to the SEC, and now the Horns are about to do it again. So that might do it also.
Yeah,
so that might also
beat them this year, so that's fine.
That also might adjust some things. Those two are definitely at the bottom of my Texas tiers, but they're a Texas team, which makes them better than everybody else. So I'm excited.
I'll take that answer.
Here's what drives me crazy.
That you haven't said you should like, share, subscribe.
Yes.
Ring the bell.
That as well.
And all those other things.
Yes.
That makes me angry too.
Georgia's a good team.
They're a very good team.
They're a very, very good
National
team.
champions.
National champions, defending champions. I'm not dissing the Bulldogs. 13-point spread is ridiculous.
For
I think
TCU?
it's ridiculous. Yes, for
Or,
TCU.
what do you mean? Like they're giving Georgia 13?
They're giving Georgia 13 points in this game.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous because Georgia
Have you seen their defense?
eked out a win against Ohio State.
That's true.
And TCU soundly beat Michigan. Like
Right.
it wasn't. But
that's apples and oranges. You can't say like because Michigan beat them in that one game, but if they play 10 times in a row, they always dominate.
TCU is still an undefeated team.
No, they're not. They got beat in the Big 12 championship by K-State.
Oh, well, they're big.
Then K-State played another team I like. Oh, they got stomped.
Okay. Point here is that I think this is just SEC bias. I legit think. I think if this was any other team that had the same record and wasn't in the SEC, if this was Clemson, if this was Notre Dame, if this was any one of the Big Ten teams, Michigan, Ohio State, something like that, you'd have a reasonable spread. You'd have somewhere around 4 to 6 points, maybe. But because it's an SEC team and we're all supposed to be scared of the SEC.
Number 19 is a pretty dominant receiver. I'll give him that.
Oh, no,
Stetson
for sure.
As a quarterback, it's hard to beat.
Nothing against the Dogs. I'm not saying the Dogs are a bad team. I'm saying 13-point spread is ridiculous in this situation. That's what I'm saying. I think this is SEC bias. I think we need to.
There's a reason for the bias.
I think the SEC has a lot of powerhouse teams, but I'm sorry, Vanderbilt's in the SEC.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't Arkansas's in the SEC. You can't just tell me, well, we're in the SEC, so we're a better team than anyone that's not in the SEC. Baloney. That's absolute baloney.
Every conference is a redheaded stepchild. All right. You gotta have them in there. That way you feel good about beating up on them. Then you could say, hey, that was a conference win.
All right. So you guys, you've got Alabama, you've got Georgia.
Yep.
I mean, LSU is occasionally
Tennessee
good.
This year was pretty good.
Tennessee this year was pretty good, but Tennessee wasn't
before their quarterback got hurt.
I was gonna say they weren't a powerhouse, especially after their
quarterback
got hurt. Right?
Well,
you're okay.
They're pretty good.
They're pretty good because they beat Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama was not that good this year.
No, we lost 2 games, and we deserve to not be in the playoffs.
Anyways, so the point is, I think there's an overbias to the SEC. I think that needs to end, and I think it will start to end once you start to
when someone beats them.
When you start to see other conferences.
Look at all the championships since the playoffs started.
Get a little bit more dominant.
SEC. There's those low moments with the ACC one. SEC.
This is the problem with the conference model, though, because wins equals money, wins equals recruits. And so once a conference.
And now that you can pay players.
We had the same problem with the old Southwest Conference, right? The old Southwest Conference just won everything, and so all of the good players went there, and it became this big spiral, right? It became this giant cycle that just ever went up. But that's about to end for the SEC. I'm calling it right now. Within the decade.
I would love to see TCU win. However, it is Georgia. It is going to be a very uphill road.
It's going to be an uphill battle. I think TCU pulls it out. I would.
Okay, I'll let you have that, but just at an estimate, is it going to be a last-second field goal? Is it going to be by 3 points, 7 points? What do you think?
I'm saying it's. Yeah, I'm gonna put it. I'll give them. Let me see. Let me try and put this out there. So you're saying 65, right? So I'll say it's.
Well, it's gonna be over 65.
Sure.
I'm with you on that.
I'll say it is. Gosh, man, I'm not good at calculating football scores. I'll give them 27-34.
Okay.
27-34.
Does that math out?
No, it doesn't. Sorry. I'll give them 27-33 TCU.
Okay.
That's what I say.
Okay.
I'll say 27. I'll give them 6 points.
Okay.
I'll give them 2 field goals.
That only equals 60, so you're not over 65, but it's fine.
Okay. That's fine.
They'll win by 5 points.
It'll be a high scoring game. I'll say they'll win it by over 5 points.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's a prediction. We'll catch you next week to see if Nick was correct.
I'm not a sportscaster, and I know there's tons, and I can see there's.
And don't get me wrong, I like TCU mainly because their quarterback's a ginger, but they're pretty electric, and no one paid attention to them all season because they're a Big 12 team, and you're right, SEC gets favoritism because they're good, and they just weren't that big lightning in a bottle until about mid-season, but at that point, the TV contracts can already set. They're like, unless it's a huge game, you're not really going to have a lot of play time.
Yeah.
So I think there were ones that people just didn't account for, and we'll see.
I'm not I'm not an NCAA expert, right? If we were talking NFL, maybe if we're talking Major League Baseball, I'd probably have better stats for you. I'm not an NCAA guy. I'm just saying I think TCU pulls it out. I think TCU pulls it out in a way that people don't expect. That being said, there are people that I know watch this show who I can hear you right now screaming at me. And you know exactly who you are. They're like, "Oh my gosh, there's no way, Nick, you're out of your mind, blah 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 blah." We got a buddy of ours who's a Georgia fan, and a lot of friends of ours are Texas football fans who don't want to see TCU win.
Yeah.
Because we know a lot of people who went to school in Waco.
Yeah.
And they watching
they're not going to talk about it.
Yeah, watching TCU win this would be that'd be rough. But for me, it's a joy either way. I want to see a good game, and I'd like to see Texas win.
Yeah.
So as far as things that aren't sports related, we don't really talk very much about sports on this show.
That was pretty exciting because I mean, it's the big show.
We should talk more about sports on this show.
Well, Texas teams don't really give us a lot to talk about.
You know what? Bruce Bochy's
every time
Bruce Bochy's the Texas Rangers manager, and
you also avoided talking about the MLB champions because you have some kind of vendetta against that team.
They're not from Texas.
Well, they kind of are because they're in Houston.
They're from Harris County.
Yeah, they are Harris County, but they're still from Houston.
They're the Harris County heretics.
But anyways, just a reminder, Texas legislative session starts January 10th.
We covered on one of our other episodes. Go back and check it out. We did cover the key items that are on the docket for the January 10th.
I think it may be on Spotify.
Start.
I'm not sure if the one on YouTube is actually still up.
That one is definitely one's still on Spotify. Yeah.
So check that out. There's a lot of cool stuff that they're going to talk about. It's a lot more is going to move once that does start because committees all of a sudden really ramp up.
Yep.
Have some cool stuff.
And we'll be right there covering it for you. In the meantime, let's talk about our good friends over in El Paso, Texas.
Oh, yes.
So here's the issue. I hate to say we told you so, but we did tell you so. Turns out there's a massive border crisis in El Paso. And you know what they're doing in El Paso, James?
What's that?
They're building the wall.
Yeah.
They have to build the wall.
We
have no choice. We have to build the wall.
Yeah.
Right? 2 miles, build that wall.
And they're building more. It's a barricade, but still, I'll take it. The Democrat mayor in El Paso, Oscar Lesser, he's a Democrat, by the way.
Yes.
Again,
that's why you call him the Democrat mayor.
Right, because I had to make sure that point was there. And he's even saying, yeah, we have a state of emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And he did it from the humanitarian status of, well, we don't want these people just on the street and it's in the cold because we had that cold snap last week.
You're about to have another one.
Yeah, but he knows the real issue. He just has to say that in order to save face.
Yeah.
It's getting horrible over there.
What is the real issue? Why would a bunch of migrants be piled up along the border in El Paso right now?
Oh, a bunch of illegal immigrants are piled up on the border because Title 42 was supposed to be lifted. If you don't know what Title 42 is, let me refresh your memory here from Donald Trump. He put it in there as a blockage for COVID. That way, if they came over, they could say no and turn them right back because they may have COVID. They could spread it even more because we were stopping the spread at that point. Mm-hmm. And that stayed in place. Well, they were basically sitting there on the Mexico side waiting for that to go in because they're totally not paying attention to our news and waiting for Joe Biden to get even more lenient to our border. But in the end, they said, screw it, because Supreme Court actually blocked it and said, until there's a court order, this is staying in place because there's current litigation happening in the courts. So until that's all resolved, for the time being, it stays in place. So they said, all right, never mind, we're just going to come over anyways. And they did. And now they have a massive people in El Paso that they cannot contain. Shocked.
Yeah. No, it's... And the other situation here is people are waiting on the border for Title 42 to be overturned. So then what? Like if Title 42 was overturned, they're just going to shut down the border crossing agents? Like I don't understand. But
they're basically doing that now. But yes.
Yes. I don't understand why people are waiting because I mean Title 42 doesn't really seem to be holding a lot of people back. I mean if you look at the immigration stats since Biden took office. They've absolutely skyrocketed. I mean, it's a hockey stick.
Yeah.
Right. And when people are asked why they're coming across the border, because Biden is president, right? Because we thought there would be a better chance of us getting across while Biden's president than while Trump is president.
And they bet correctly.
They did.
Well, the bad thing is ICE can't even keep up with it. They have a report out right now that their actual group, I forget, I think it's TRCP. I don't remember the actual group, but it's a group that does stats people in detention centers that are legal immigrants.
Yeah.
And just so happens, what was it, about 377,000 and some change, they don't have any accounts for. Like, whoops.
Yeah.
Those are in the interior.
Yep.
And we don't know what's going on.
Well,
just to put it in perspective, the city of Arlington is about 380,000 people population. That's our 7th largest city in the state of Texas.
Yep.
And that's just unaccounted for. No idea what happened.
Yep.
Okay, we'll figure it out, guys. I'm sure the paperwork will come in. They'll come back, right? They'll come to their court case.
Sure.
Of course.
But that's the thing is this is what's happening because these people are sitting, like you said, they're in the cold. They're waiting for something that they assumed was going to happen that didn't. And so they're just growing impatient and they're crossing the border illegally or they're turning themselves in and, like you said, getting released into the interior. So there's all these people that just aren't accounted for because we have no way of enforcing this once they're inside.
No.
Right? We have no way of hunting them down and deporting them, which is, I mean, it's to me this is just common sense. But
you would think
it's an interesting situation because you've got centers that are made to house these illegal immigrants that are on both sides overrun, meaning the ones in the United States are overrun, the ones in Mexico are overrun. These people are living on the street. They're living in poverty. A lot of these people have made a very long journey, a dangerous journey to get where they are, all because they believe Joe Biden is going to let them into the interior.
Yeah.
Right? And so
I mean, CNN even claims, well, you have the articles in the description.
Sure.
They're fleeing poverty and violence in their home countries. They don't cite anything. That's just their heartstring argument for you to feel super bad about them instead of going, hey, how about we just don't have an open border and they wouldn't even think about coming here?
Exactly.
Nah, we can't do that. Then we'd be uncaring.
Exactly.
By not letting them stay here in impoverished situations. Maybe like a year ago under a bridge in Eagle Pass. Everybody forgot about that, right? No? Yeah?
I didn't forget, James.
Yeah.
I still remember that drone footage. Biden, here's something that needs...
It's like the same stupid argument about, like, why don't we let the homeless be homeless? They want to be homeless. Like, yeah, I'm sure they want to be in a drug state the entire time, living their life in some kind of fog. Yeah, no.
Here's
just enforce the freaking law.
Here's what we need to understand. By not enforcing the law, when you talk about these people in the state that they're in, the fact that they're out in the cold, they're living on the street, that's your fault. That's on you. That's not on us that aren't letting them in the border. That's on you for telling them that they could come across the border in the first place. The fact is that you've got a situation where if they had stayed in their country and they had worked, I mean, or not if they had stayed in their country and we had worked to help change it, right? We could, if we had a situation with Mexico where we could sort of give aid back and forth, if we really cared about these people and their living and their living conditions, there are things that we could do without inviting them into our country. There are things we can do on an international policy basis. This is really, to me, just proof that Zachary Taylor is the worst foreign policy president that we've ever had.
What was that?
But well, actually, not before he was president, but when he was general, right? He was General Zachary Taylor. He was in the Mexican-American War, and we had conquered Mexico.
We won.
We won the Mexican. That's what a lot of people don't know this. We won the Mexican-American War. We got into Mexico City. Mexico belonged to us. And you know what Zachary Taylor did?
What did he do?
Okay, give it back.
Give it back,
right. You know what happens if we keep
like
Mexico?
Sports now. It's like, I know you won, but they need to get a trophy that's slightly smaller. That way they also feel good.
You know what happens if we keep Mexico?
We own it.
We own it. And you know what happens to the Mexicans? Their lives become so much better.
Yeah.
Because they're citizens. They're actual voting citizens that are plugged into the economy and participating in the American experiment.
We destroy cartels.
Yes, from an act, we would actually be guarding these cartels. You wouldn't have corrupt Mexican government, right?
And we just keep buying it further and further down, and we eventually have the Panama Canal. Try swimming that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's the best.
But that's
the
thing.
Small, tiny border then.
Let's say that let's see that we don't even get to the Panama Canal. The wall, right? So the crossing from Mexico into whatever it is, I think it's El Salvador, right? Into the Central American countries. The wall is way shorter than the border.
Would that get to be Texas?
Yeah, than the border with Texas.
Well, no. Would Mexico then get to be Texas, or we have to keep the name Mexico? Because I want to change it to Gulf of Texas.
It would be Texaco.
Texaco.
Yeah, it would
I'll
be
take
Texas
that.
and Texaco.
So it's a gas station.
Right. Yeah, that's my situation. That's so frustrating here is that these people could be living better lives, staying in their homes, and working, working the jobs that they have there in Mexico, if the United States would do something on a foreign policy level to help with Mexico,
Yeah.
right? Now, the problem is then, well, they have a corrupt government.
Yeah.
Well, just go in there and conquer them, I guess.
I mean, it worked once, try it again.
I was going to say, right? They have a corrupt government. I mean, we've influenced things like this before. We've improved the state of countries before. If we really care that much about the Mexican people, deal with it on a foreign policy level, but don't let them come into our country. You're not helping anyone, right? You're giving them a sort of foreign fugitive status, and you're giving us difficulty with our economic status, difficulty with the housing market, difficulty with all sorts of things that happen, right? Difficulty with crime rates and enforcing the law, difficulty with voting problems and enforcing the laws there. All of this is happening because we just don't deal with the right solution, because the right solution is the more difficult one. It's the more nuanced one that requires a little bit more effort and time.
It also requires, glad handers in politics who don't like to do this to say no.
Yep.
But then they'll be mad. Yeah, so is my child when I say no cookies before dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? He then hugs me later because he forgets all about it because he realizes, you know what? That dinner was pretty good. Or at least I ate dinner, then I got a cookie like Daddy said I would. Yep. Either way, he's happy.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, this problem has been going on for a while. And, of course, Mayorkas, who's the actual guy over the border, he hasn't done anything. He said the border's secure many times. And then all of a sudden, whenever the numbers start coming back, finally somewhat coming back truthfully, he says, like, well, I never said the border was secure. It's like, dude, we have you in the Congress saying it to their face. Play the tape. Replay. That's out of context. Okay.
Has Alexander Mayorkas even been to the border?
I don't think so. No.
I don't think he has.
I mean, Kamala Harris got as close as she could, and she was still like 9 miles away from the real border.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's so blatant that there's this guy named Gary Hahn. He's apparently NC State's radio broadcaster since like 1991. He made a glib joke or fact, not quite sure, when giving reference to another bowl, the Sun Bowl, while he was broadcasting the Mayo Bowl for the football game for NC State, and I forget who they played because
it's the Mayo Bowl.
It's the Mayo Bowl, exactly. He said, down among all the illegal aliens in El Paso, it's UCLA 14 and Pittsburgh 6. He got suspended indefinitely for saying that because it's true. Because
it's valid. Because it's true.
How dare he say something so true on national TV?
Yeah, it's a shame. It's an absolute shame.
Yeah, I can't believe you do it either. It's so sad.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Friends, the fact is that I'm not even entirely sure that Mexicans really want to be over here, right? We always say, oh, they're coming here pursuing.
Well, it's not even really Mexicans; it's other countries. It's Venezuelans, it's Chileans, especially. Mm-hmm. They're coming over, and they have IDs for Mexico. And we had this again in the Eagle Pass. If you remember, I don't know if you remember. Hope you remember. There were many and many IDs just thrown on the other side of Mexico and just left there. It's like, wait, so you went to another country, found status for a few years, and then realized it was open, but we can't say that they realized it was open, and they hopped the other border. Okay, why? Remember the Haitians?
Yep.
But you gotta be kidding me.
Those are the ones that were in Eagle
So
Pass.
it's not all Mexico. But of course, whenever you say anything about the border, you say, well, you just hate Mexicans. You just hate Spanish people. No, I just hate the border being completely open.
Yep. So here's one way that you can, a surefire way. Alexander Mayorkas, you want to make sure that you keep the border secure. One of the best ways to do it, probably the most effective way to do it, is just put a big sign on the border, probably in Spanish.
Welcome to America. I don't know. I got nothing. That was too good.
Either. Yeah.
We have alligators in the woods. What?
That's true.
Test it out. See what happens. Man.
But the thing is, we need to clarify. I think.
Dead air.
Yeah.
Dead air.
Yeah. That's bad. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to say here though is
we don't sell beer anymore. There's a better one.
No, but
welcome to America.
I feel like if
no mas what is it?
Cerveza. I feel like if people truly understood that this is what's happening here in the United States, less people would be inclined to come. And this is another reason why you're seeing Hispanics overwhelmingly vote Republican. Right? Because
that is true.
Because of the fact
that's why Cubans get no respect.
Exactly. They're coming over there and they're saying, "Wait, you want to do what? I'm sorry, what?"
But your
right?
country is liberal. That's why we're leaving.
Yeah, that's why we're
Like our
getting out of
friend
here.
from where was it? Where's it?
Colombia.
Colombia.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh.
Is the most Republican man
There
I've
is
ever
no
seen in my
lip
entire
bone
life.
left in that body.
Yep. But friends, there's the reality is that it's becoming a situation in the United States now where I kind of don't want to be here, right? As is noted by this last story that we have here, which is about, what's the guy's name? Younger?
Jeff Younger.
Jeff Younger.
This is a case that's been going on for a few years. You may have heard it. We've talked about it previously, a way back, because that was when the appeals was happening. This is a custody battle for this guy and his sons with an ex-wife. The only difference is once they were divorcing, the wife started treating one of their sons as a girl and named him Luna. So now he's a girl. The ex-wife dresses him up as such, treats him like such. When he's with dad, he's a boy. But this horrible mother has just confused the crap out of this kid and made him think twice about, maybe I actually am a girl.
Sure.
And now we're in a whole different situation because basically this guy has no more custody. And in the Dallas Court of Appeals, I believe it's the Dallas Court of Appeals.
Yep.
The court, it's 301st Dallas Court.
Yeah.
It ruled that the mother can change the names of the children and move internationally without Younger's consent. Also, if you want to stay in the States, you can move them wherever you want to without the dad's consent.
Yeah.
However, in that ruling, it said that, what was the actual thing? It was you could not do anything like transgender surgery, puberty blockers, anything to deal with the euphemism of gender affirming care. Couldn't do that at all.
I really thought you said ginger affirming care for a second.
You know you're a ginger.
Yeah.
You know how cool you are.
He did appeal, though, to the Texas Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court upheld the decision, right?
Yes.
Saying that
they denied his mandamus to do this. Yes.
What is a mandamus? Tell me.
Basically, it's a requirement it's another way to get a writ to the court of saying, hey, let's put a pause on this until we decide this, and trying to force another issue because the last judge decided not to do anything. So you have to basically tattletale to the higher judges of saying that judge should do something about it, and the Supreme Court said no.
Yeah. So
Texas Supreme Court.
The decision here is that she can go anywhere with James is the name of this boy.
Yeah.
Not Luna, right?
No.
She can go anywhere with the young man. She can move there without telling Jeff, the father, where she's going or what's happening. But she can't. She still can't actually go through transition. Like
can't even do therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But where did she move? Of course,
California.
California.
Yeah.
So California, the reason that's relative, the reason he even writ the mandamus or filed it was because they passed a Senate Bill 107, which went into effect on the 1st of this year, so 2 days ago, which expressly allows for transitioning of children leaving states like Texas, in which have the obstacles to such medical procedures because we're a sane state, much like other states that are sane and saying you can't do this to kids because, they're kids.
Alabama, Texas, Idaho are actually listed in the bill.
Yeah. The author who wrote it, who's weirdly named Scott No Wiener.
Scott No Wiener.
And he wrote it.
Why are all the worst politicians named Wiener?
Yeah. Well,
did we have an Anthony Weiner who got caught doing something with a laptop?
With his, yeah. But he said basically this will also protect parents because if you don't remember, Texas kind of had this, not really law, but it got effectively shot down of investigating parents who have transitioning children as child abuse. And it says, well, this is a protectant. So we're ultimate protector.
Yep. Or
harborer of the worst sin ever. But okay.
Well, you can come here so that you can do unspeakable things to your children. And this is one of the great cases where and I'm with you. So I'm with you on most cases, James, when we talk about the legal stuff. And one of the things I respect about your perspective on this thing is I'll say, well, this is a dumb decision. You're like, well, nope, it's the law. This is the way it works, right? He's got a case here, here, and here. And I respect that. I really do. This is the one point where I'm going, nope, I don't care. You made the wrong decision. And the Texas Supreme Court's case for upholding this is that they still can't. She still can't transition the child without
Right.
without his consent.
You breach the court order once you do that.
And it was the fact that it was filed late because of the
You filed it the day before the thing went into effect.
because the thing went into effect, right? So yes, obviously he would file it the day before it went into effect because that's the primary concern, right?
He found out his ruling in September.
Well, yes.
The bill passed in September. It likely she moved around that same time because now she had full custody to California.
Yeah.
So why did you wait so late? I don't like the decision either, but I am with, I think it was Justice Blacklock's concurring opinion that states you waited to the 11th hour. Why? Yeah. And you want us to make a decision right here, half-cocked, to force them back to Texas because something could happen. This is another issue. It's horrible.
Yes.
But it's also a could.
Well, the law
You have
passed.
no proof of injury yet.
I mean, the obvious answer here is that the law passed, and so that the primary concern is that she's
but the
going
law
to
passed, but the order still states you cannot do this. Does she abide by that order? I'm with you. I don't know. Maybe she says, to heck with it, and does it anyways. We don't know. And the justices themselves cannot perceive what someone may do. It's what someone has done.
I'm sorry. This is the wrong decision. This is the wrong decision. You're in a situation where a child's well-being is at stake.
Horrific situation.
And
yes.
you're going to err when you have a situation like that. You need to err on the side that is going to cause the least amount of damage to the child. And you clearly haven't done that in situations.
Well, she clearly proved her point that she deserves to be the mother in full custody. I'm not agreeing with it at all. This is a Dallas judge.
Yeah.
Good luck to find a Republican in Dallas courts. You can't. Yeah. We had one, and she was promptly voted out. So I'm with you. But the judge made a decision, and according to the judge's decision, Supreme Court looked at it and said, no, because there's something blatantly against the law. You can disagree with the decision. You can disagree with what may happen. Yeah. But again, it's may. That's a big point of may. Judges cannot be legislators from the bench. They have to deal with what's in front of them. What's in front of them is a dad that's pissed off, understandably so, a bill that just passed in California, a order from a court that says you can't do anything along those lines with this kid. You can dress him up how you want to. You certainly can't take him to therapy. You certainly can't puberty blockers, and you certainly can't do a sex change. There's no injury.
The purpose
it sucks, but there's no injury.
The purpose of the law is to protect the people, specifically to protect the innocent, right? And at this point, you have clearly put a child in a situation that he's in more great danger with his mother than he is with his father. Right now, what do I know about Jeff Younger? Not a ton. I've seen him speak a couple of times I've seen him on interviews and stuff like that. To be honest, he doesn't really seem like the nicest dude, right? He doesn't seem to me.
You're also having a man interview who's feeling like his whole life's being taken from him because it is.
Sure, yeah. And
so let's put that in perspective too.
I can understand why he'd be bitter. The fact is that if you have somebody who is going to take medical intervention on a child that is not necessary, that is not needed, versus someone who's going to not want to impose that medical intervention, you're clearly going to put the child in more danger if you go with the first party. And it's just the wrong decision. I don't care about the league.
Well, he's also a very emotional human being too, because he tweeted, because he could have just kept it to himself, but of course he tweeted right after this. The Supreme Court of Texas denied my mandamus, effectively terminating my parental rights. My children are now subject to being chemically castrated in California. Texas is an empire of child abuse led by Texas judges. Send.
Yeah.
Come on.
Where's the lie? I mean, I'm
get out of here.
I'm sorry. Up to the end, right where it says Texas is an empire of child abuse, but everything that he said before that, where's the lie? I'm sorry.
He is having his parental. You're working on a could. You're working on a hypothetical.
He is having his parental rights taken away.
That already was taken away.
His child is going to be subject to chemical castration.
You can't prove that. We may think that there may be good evidence to say like this woman's crazy. She's definitely going to do it, but she hasn't done it. Again, a judge can only work with what's in front of them.
So what do? We wait until this child has had irreversible damage put on them before we make a ruling one way or the other?
You have to have an injury. I know it sucks, but unless you have active proof that she's taken to these places to start taking some pills or drug test the kid to see if that's even anything in his system that he's starting the whole puberty blocker process, I don't really know what more you can do.
Based on a
It's
preponderance.
a horrible mother, but just because someone's a horrible mother, unless she's actually injuring them, which again I think it would be injuring them, just confusing them about boy or girl. But we have no law in the books that says that yet. Welcome to January 10th. Keep paying attention. There's nothing there.
So true. It's so true.
This is why that's the last episode. That's why we said that's a big priority for Republican congressmen and senators, because they want to make sure this is actually child abuse, which gives the judge then a way to actually do something.
I'm sorry. I don't care about the legalese at this point. This is wrong. This is wrong, and this child's going to suffer.
I'm not defending the judge. I'm just defending what the law states.
This child's going to suffer, and it's going to be on the hands of these justices. And
again, I'm on the father. Why did you wait so late? Why did you wait so late?
I weep for James Younger. I pray for him.
I really wish I could put my hand on him and pray for him, but there's nothing I can do right now.
So the point is, Mexico, you really don't want to come over here. So just hang out there and we'll just have to, I don't know. We'll figure this out. We'll call you when we figured all of this out.
Yeah.
Right? Friends, I really don't like the fact that this is happening in Texas. Right? Texas is supposed to be the beacon of light, but sometimes it's a big state. We've got a lot of people that believe a lot of crazy, wacky stuff, and it's really quite something. But in the meantime, friends, do keep your eyes on January 10th and be watching what your state senators do, what your state congresspeople do, and make sure that you vote the bums out if they don't get rid of this kind of stuff. Because we still have to be that guiding force in the United States. We in Texas are the stars at night, and we are
big and bright.
We'll see you next week.
Go Frogs!